The morning air in the forest was fresh and cool. Tall trees stood close together, their green leaves blocking much of the sunlight. Soft sounds of birds filled the space, and the ground was covered with dry leaves and small plants. This forest was part of a protected wildlife reserve, a place many tourists visited to see animals in their natural home. Lena was one of those tourists. She was visiting from another country and had dreamed of this trip for years. She loved nature and wildlife, and she always respected animals. Lena wore a simple jacket, comfortable shoes, and carried a small camera around her neck. She walked slowly, taking pictures of trees, insects, and birds. A small group of tourists walked ahead of her with a guide. The guide explained rules in a calm voice. He reminded everyone to stay together, stay quiet, and never move too close to the animals. Lena listened carefully, but her attention kept moving toward the forest on her right side. That was when she saw the gorilla. The gorilla sat near a large tree, partly hidden by bushes. She was big and strong, with dark fur and gentle eyes. She did not move much, just watched the group silently. Lena felt amazed. She had seen gorillas only in books and videos before, never this close. Lena slowly lifted her camera and took a picture. The sound was soft, but the gorilla noticed. The gorilla turned her head slightly and looked directly at Lena. Their eyes met for a moment. Lena felt her heart beat faster. She remembered the guide's words and slowly lowered her camera. She did not want to disturb the animal. The gorilla did not show anger. She stayed calm, sitting still, watching Lena carefully. The group continued walking forward. Lena took a step to follow them, but she stopped again. Something about the gorilla felt different. The animal did not seem dangerous. Instead, there was a strange calm around her. Suddenly, the gorilla stood up. She was much taller than Lena expected. The movement made Lena freeze in place. The guide noticed and turned around, raising his hand as a warning sign. Lena wanted to move back, but her legs felt heavy. The gorilla slowly walked closer. There was no loud sound, no sudden action. Just slow, heavy steps on the forest ground. Lena's breath became shallow, but she stayed still. She did not scream. She did not run. The gorilla reached Lena and gently touched her arm. The touch was firm but careful. Lena felt fear, but also confusion. The gorilla did not hurt her. Instead, she seemed to guide Lena away from the path. The gorilla turned and began walking deeper into the forest, still holding Lena's arm lightly. The guide shouted for Lena to stop, but the gorilla moved faster. Trees and bushes blocked the view. Within seconds, Lena and the gorilla disappeared into the forest. Lena's mind was full of thoughts. She wondered if she would be safe. She tried to remember the guide's advice. Stay calm. Do not fight. Respect the animal. She followed the gorilla, stepping carefully over roots and leaves. The forest became thicker. Sunlight grew weaker. The sounds of the tourist group faded away. The gorilla led Lena through narrow spaces between trees. Sometimes she stopped and looked back, as if checking if Lena was still there. Each time, Lena nodded slowly, showing she was not resisting. After several minutes, they reached a quiet area. The trees opened into a small clearing. The ground was softer here, covered with grass and moss. Large rocks stood around the space, and vines hung from nearby trees. This place felt hidden. The gorilla released Lena's arm and walked to the center of the clearing. Lena stood still, her heart still racing. She did not try to leave. She sensed that running would not be wise. The gorilla sat down near a large rock. She looked at Lena again, this time with a softer expression. Lena noticed something important. The gorilla was not alone. Behind the rock, Lena saw movement. A smaller gorilla appeared, then another. They were younger, smaller, and stayed close to each other. Lena understood now. This was the gorilla's home area. The gorilla who brought Lena here was a mother. The mother gorilla moved closer to the young ones, placing herself between them and Lena. Her body language was protective but calm. Lena realized that the mother gorilla had not taken her to harm her. She had taken her to show her something. Lena slowly sat down on the ground, keeping her hands visible and still. She lowered her eyes slightly to show respect. She remembered reading that animals often understand calm behavior. Minutes passed in silence. The young gorillas watched Lena with curiosity. One of them moved a little closer, then stopped. The mother gorilla watched carefully but did not stop them. Lena stayed calm. She breathed slowly. The forest felt different here. It was quiet, peaceful, and full of life. Lena realized how close she was to a world humans rarely see. The mother gorilla stood again and walked toward a pile of leaves near a tree. She moved some leaves aside, revealing something underneath. It was a broken trap. Old rope and metal lay hidden in the leaves. Lena recognized it as something dangerous. She understood that humans had placed it there long ago. The mother gorilla looked at Lena and then looked back at the trap. In that moment, Lena felt a deep sense of meaning. The gorilla had brought her here for a reason. She wanted Lena to see the danger. Lena's eyes filled with emotion. She realized that animals remembered human actions, both good and bad. This gorilla trusted her enough to bring her into her private space. The mother gorilla stepped back and sat beside her young ones again. She watched Lena closely, waiting. Lena nodded slowly, as if promising something without words. She promised to remember this moment forever. The forest sounds returned softly. Birds sang again. Leaves moved in the wind. Far away, the guide and rangers were searching, calling Lena's name. But Lena was still in the clearing, sitting quietly in front of a gorilla family, unaware that this moment would soon change her life in ways she could never imagine. Lena stayed seated on the soft ground of the clearing. Her legs felt weak, but she did not move. The mother gorilla sat a short distance away with her young ones close to her chest. The air between them was quiet but full of meaning. The mother gorilla looked at Lena again. Her eyes were steady and serious. Lena felt that the gorilla was trying to communicate something without sound. Lena slowly placed her hand on the ground, showing she meant no harm. Time passed slowly. The young gorillas moved slightly, touching leaves and small stones. One of them looked at Lena with wide eyes. The mother gorilla made a soft sound, and the young one stopped moving. Lena understood that the mother was teaching them to be careful. Suddenly, the mother gorilla stood up again. She walked toward Lena and then turned toward a narrow path behind the rocks. She stopped and looked back at Lena, as if asking her to follow. Lena hesitated for a moment. She thought about the guide, the group, and safety rules. But she also felt something stronger. Trust. The gorilla had not harmed her. She believed the animal had a purpose. Slowly, Lena stood up. She followed the mother gorilla at a safe distance. The path was narrow and led deeper into the forest. Trees stood tall on both sides. Light filtered through the leaves in thin lines. As they walked, Lena noticed marks on tree trunks. Deep scratches and broken branches showed signs of struggle. Lena felt a sense of sadness growing inside her. The mother gorilla stopped near a fallen tree. Behind it, Lena saw something that made her heart sink. Another trap. This one was newer. Metal wires were partly hidden under leaves. Nearby, the ground was disturbed, as if an animal had struggled there. The mother gorilla made a low sound and gently touched the ground with her hand. Lena understood. This place was dangerous. Lena slowly moved closer and looked carefully. She could see how easily an animal could get hurt here. She felt anger, not toward the gorilla, but toward humans who harmed nature without care. The mother gorilla looked at Lena, then at the forest around them. She wanted help. Lena did not have tools, but she had knowledge. She carefully picked up a stick and moved leaves away from the trap to make it visible. She did not touch it directly. She wanted rangers to find it later. The mother gorilla watched every move closely. When Lena stepped back, the gorilla seemed calmer. They walked back toward the clearing. Suddenly, a distant sound reached Lena's ears. Voices. Human voices. The rangers were close. The mother gorilla froze. Her body became tense. She moved quickly toward her young ones, pulling them close. Lena felt the fear in her movement. Lena raised her hands gently and stayed still. She did not want to scare the gorilla family. The voices grew louder. A ranger appeared at the edge of the trees. He stopped immediately when he saw the gorillas and Lena standing together. More rangers arrived slowly, careful not to make sudden movements. The guide recognized Lena and called her name softly. Lena turned her head slightly to show she was safe, but she did not move toward them yet. The mother gorilla stood tall in front of her young ones. The rangers understood the situation. One of them raised his hand and signaled the others to stay back. They spoke quietly among themselves. Lena slowly looked at the mother gorilla. She nodded gently, as if saying she would leave peacefully. The mother gorilla watched her closely. Then something unexpected happened. The mother gorilla stepped aside. She allowed Lena to walk past. Lena felt a deep emotion rise in her chest. She took slow steps toward the rangers. With every step, she felt the weight of what she had experienced. Before Lena reached the rangers, she stopped and turned back. The mother gorilla was watching her. Lena placed her hand over her heart and bowed her head slightly. It was a simple gesture, but full of respect. The mother gorilla did not move. She simply watched as Lena left the clearing. The rangers carefully guided Lena away from the area. They asked her questions in quiet voices. Lena explained everything she had seen. She told them about the traps and the hidden path. The rangers listened with serious faces. One of them spoke into a radio, sharing the information immediately. As Lena walked back through the forest, she felt different. Her fear had turned into understanding. She realized that animals were not just part of nature. They were guardians of it. Back at the base camp, Lena sat on a wooden bench, wrapped in a warm blanket. The guide brought her water. Other tourists watched from a distance, amazed and confused. Lena told the story again, slowly and clearly. No exaggeration. Just the truth. The rangers prepared a team to remove the traps and protect the area. Lena watched them leave, feeling proud and hopeful. That night, Lena could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the mother gorilla's face. Calm, strong, protective. She knew this experience was not an accident. It was a message. And Lena promised herself that she would not let that message be forgotten. Far away in the forest, the mother gorilla held her young ones close. The forest was quiet again. The danger was not gone, but help was coming. The bond formed that day, between human and animal, had changed both sides forever. And this was only the beginning. The next morning, the base camp in the wildlife reserve was busier than usual. Rangers walked quickly from one place to another. Some checked equipment, while others studied maps. Lena sat quietly at the edge of the camp, holding a cup of warm tea. Her hands were steady now, but her mind was still full of last night's memories. She could not forget the mother gorilla's eyes. They were not angry eyes. They were not wild eyes. They looked like the eyes of someone who understood danger and also understood trust. The head ranger, a calm man named Omar, came to Lena and sat beside her. He spoke gently, as if he did not want to disturb her. "You did well," he said. "You stayed calm. You did not make it worse. And you helped us find those traps." Lena nodded. "I did not do much," she said. "She did everything. She showed me." Omar looked down for a moment. "That is what surprises people," he said. "Animals have their own way of thinking. They may not speak like humans, but they communicate in their own way." Lena took a slow breath. "Will you remove the traps today?" she asked. Omar nodded. "We will. And we will search wider. If there are 2 traps, there may be more." Lena's heart tightened. "Can I come with you?" she asked. Omar looked at her carefully. "It is safer if you stay here," he said. "But we also need you. You know the path she took. You know the area." Lena understood. She was not an expert, but she had seen what the Rangers had not yet seen. She agreed to go with them, but only if they followed safety rules. Soon, Lena walked with a small team of Rangers. They moved quietly through the forest, careful not to scare animals. The forest looked the same as yesterday, but Lena felt it differently now. The trees felt like guardians. The silence felt like a warning. As they walked, Lena pointed out the broken branches, the scratches on bark, and the hidden turns that led toward the clearing. The Rangers marked the path with small signs that only they could understand. They also checked the ground for anything dangerous. After some time, they reached the clearing again. It looked peaceful, just as before. Grass moved lightly in the wind. Birds called from high branches. But Lena knew that danger could still be hidden under leaves. Omar raised his hand, signaling everyone to stop. 2 Rangers moved forward slowly. They examined the ground near the fallen tree. Soon, they found the trap Lena had shown them. One Ranger carefully used tools to remove it. Another Ranger placed it in a thick bag for evidence. Then they found something else. More wires. Another trap was hidden a few steps away. Then, another. The Rangers' faces became serious. They moved slowly and removed each one carefully. Lena stood back, watching, her stomach tight. Omar looked at Lena. "You saved time," he said quietly. "Without you, we might not have found this place so quickly." Lena did not feel proud. She felt sad. She wondered how many animals had suffered because of these traps. She wondered how many were still in danger. Suddenly, a low sound came from the trees. Lena turned her head. The mother gorilla was there. She stood at the edge of the clearing with her young ones close behind her. She did not rush forward. She simply watched the humans removing the traps. The Rangers froze for a moment, then slowly stepped back. Omar raised his hand again, signaling everyone to stay calm. Lena felt her breath slow. She wanted to move closer, but she did not. She kept her distance, just like the Rangers taught. The mother gorilla took one step forward, then stopped. Her eyes moved across the clearing. She noticed the bag where the traps were placed. She noticed the tools. She noticed the careful movements. It looked like she understood. One of the young gorillas moved slightly, curious. The mother made a soft sound, and the young one stayed behind her. Lena watched in silence. She felt tears in her eyes, but she kept her face calm. This moment felt like a bridge between 2 worlds. Omar slowly spoke, not to the gorilla, but to his team. "We are leaving," he said softly. "We are done here for now." The Rangers slowly backed away. Lena took a few steps too, but she paused and looked at the mother gorilla again. The gorilla held her gaze. Then the mother gorilla did something that none of them expected. She turned and walked deeper into the forest. But she did not disappear. She looked back once, then continued, walking slowly, as if expecting Lena to follow. Lena's eyes widened. She looked at Omar. Omar's face showed surprise, but also understanding. "She is guiding again," he whispered. "She wants to show us more." Omar thought quickly. He chose only 2 Rangers to go along. Too many humans would scare the gorilla family. He told the rest to stay back and keep the area quiet. Lena followed behind the small team, moving carefully. The mother gorilla led them through a longer route this time. The forest became thicker. The air grew cooler. The ground changed from soft grass to rough roots and stones. They walked for many minutes. Finally, the mother gorilla stopped near a dense area of bushes. She did not move forward. Instead, she made a quiet sound and looked toward the bushes. Omar signaled the Rangers to look carefully. A Ranger pushed branches aside slowly. What they saw made everyone go silent. there was a hidden camp. It was not a normal camp for tourists or rangers. It was built in a careless way, with torn cloth, empty boxes, and scattered items. There were signs that people had stayed there recently. Lena's heart raced. She understood now why the mother gorilla had acted the way she did yesterday. The traps were not random. They were placed by people who did not respect the reserve. Omar's face became hard. He turned to the ranger beside him and spoke into a radio in a low voice. He shared the location carefully, using codes so strangers would not understand. The mother gorilla watched the humans. She stayed calm, but her body was alert. She stood like a wall between her young ones and the hidden camp. Lena suddenly understood something shocking. The mother gorilla was not only protecting her family. She was protecting the whole area. She had been living with danger nearby and had not run away. She had stayed and watched. She had learned patterns. She had remembered paths. And she had chosen a human at the right time to bring help. It felt unbelievable, but it was real. The mother gorilla made another sound and moved back slightly. She had done what she needed to do. Omar nodded slowly, almost as if he was speaking to her in his mind. "We understand," he whispered. "We will handle it." The team slowly moved away from the hidden camp. They did not want to disturb the area before backup arrived. The mother gorilla stayed behind for a moment, watching them leave. Then she took her young ones and disappeared into the forest quietly. When Lena and the rangers returned to camp, more teams were already preparing to move. The location of the hidden camp was important. It meant the reserve had been at risk for a long time. That evening, Lena sat near the campfire. The light flickered on her face. Tourists were gone now, sent back for safety. Only rangers remained, focused and alert. Omar sat near Lena again. "You will be part of the report," he said. "Your story will be recorded." Lena looked at the flames. "People may not believe it," she said. Omar gave a small smile. "We will," he said. "And we have evidence. Traps. The hidden camp. And your path." Lena took a deep breath. "I came here to take photos," she said quietly. "I did not think I would become part of something bigger." Omar nodded. "Sometimes nature chooses who will listen," he said. Days passed. The rangers increased patrols. They removed more traps from nearby areas. They closed some paths for safety. The reserve became quieter, but also safer. Lena stayed for a few more days, helping the rangers explain what she saw. She also wrote down every detail in a notebook, so she would never forget. On her last day, Lena asked if she could visit the forest one more time, from a safe distance, with a ranger beside her. Omar agreed. They walked to a viewing area where animals sometimes passed by. Lena sat silently, holding her camera but not raising it. She did not want to disturb anything. For a long time, nothing happened. Then, from the trees, the mother gorilla appeared. She was not close, but she was visible. She stood still and looked toward Lena. Lena felt her throat tighten. She did not wave. She did not move. She simply placed her hand over her heart again. The mother gorilla looked for a moment longer. Then she turned away calmly and walked back into the forest. Lena did not chase. She did not try to get a better photo. She understood that some moments were not meant to be captured. They were meant to be carried. When Lena finally left the reserve, she felt like a different person. She had come as a tourist, but she left with a responsibility. Back in her city, Lena began sharing her story. She spoke about protecting wildlife, respecting nature, and listening to the quiet messages around us. Many people watched. Some were shocked, not because of violence, but because of the idea that a wild animal could guide a human to safety and to truth. And that was the real shock. Not what the gorilla did to Lena, but what the gorilla trusted Lena to do afterward. Because the mother gorilla did not take Lena to harm her. She took her to open her eyes. And Lena never closed them again.